Here are my ways to improve your listings to make more sales. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Nicole and I am a part-time reseller on Poshmark. Today I want to talk about how to dramatically improve your listings on Poshmark or any other reselling platform that you're on. These tips are universal to all the platforms and they really help increase your sales because they make your listings stand out a lot more to the buyer and it will help you just drive more traffic to your site. So if you are interested in this, please feel free to keep watching, and if you like the video, please like it, and also subscribe for more reselling content. I do reselling content every single week, and so I would love to have you stick around by subscribing. But yeah, let's get right into the video. Let's talk about how to improve your listings. So this first way to really improve your listings is to use a mannequin. So I have two different types of mannequins. I have a full body mannequin that is a bodice, and then I also have like feet mannequin that go into shoes. These really make a big difference when it comes to photographing, and I will insert some pictures here on the screen of like before and afters of, you know, laying something down flat or hanging it up on a hanger and then putting it on a mannequin, and how much of a difference it really makes. It really shows the buyer how it will fit, or like what the actual like length of it would be, or you know, the style of it. And sometimes it's really hard to see the style when it's hanging on a hanger, especially for like wrap style pieces or things that have like layers. So a mannequin really helps show the picture better, shows how it fits, and sometimes it even helps get like the coloring right because you don't have weird shadows when it's like laying down on a backdrop or anything. So I use the mannequin for at least the first couple photos, and then if I need to, I'll also use the backdrop to, you know, show different types of like the textures and or the sizing or anything like that. So I think a mannequin actually really helps, and I recently got one and I don't know how I survived without it because it really makes a big difference. And I've noticed that a lot more things sell now that I have a mannequin to style the items better. And especially because I don't try on all my pieces and I don't, you know, model them, I think a mannequin really helps. The only thing I will note with a mannequin is a lot of different sizing of pieces. So like, for example, I have ranging of sizes from extra small to, you know, plus sizing. So the mannequin that I have is not going to fit everything, but it's going to fit the majority. So for the things that it doesn't fit, I just kind of either style them or find stock photos. And then the next kind of mannequin that I have is a feet mannequin, and these are just like little plastic feet that go inside shoes to kind of help you lay the shoe out better to show how it would fit. And these are actually really helpful because a lot of the times, like with sandals or different sneakers, they kind of like go down in the photo, or they don't lay properly, or you can't really tell how the shoe is supposed to be worn. So these feet go right into the shoe, and basically it's like as if it was being styled correctly. And a lot of the times when you go into stores, you actually see this. They have like little plastic feet or something of the sort, or they stuff the shoe. So if you don't have the feet mannequin and you don't want to buy that, they are really cheap on Amazon, but if you don't want to buy them, you can just stuff it with like paper. But I think really stuffing it or putting the feet mannequin in it really helps because it kind of just shows the style of the shoe better. And I know I've had several pairs of sandals that were like laying flat, or they were laying awkwardly in the photo and I couldn't represent them well enough. And then I used the feet mannequin to represent how they would be worn, and then they would sell like instantly. So these things are really helpful to do, and I highly recommend investing in them if you don't already have them. Like I said, the feet mannequin are very cheap. The mannequin itself is more expensive, but that is something that will last you forever, and it's not like it's going to get messed up over time. The next thing to do to dramatically improve your listings is to steam your items. This one is probably obvious to most of you, but if you have items that are really wrinkly in the photos, sometimes it just doesn't show the item well, and it kind of takes away from the color, the texture, the style, anything of that sort. So I highly recommend just kind of steaming your items, or at least if you can't, you know, get all your items steamed, at least try and make sure that they're laying flat and that they're not wrinkly. A lot of the times I'll see sellers that will like list things that clearly look like they just came out of the bins, or they just came out of, you know, being stored away for so long, and it just doesn't really look professional. When you go on a company's website, you don't see things that are just wrinkled. You don't see things that are, you know, look like they're coming out of a bag. They are laid out professionally. They are steamed. They are either hung on a mannequin, or they are flat, and they look very, you know, nicely. So I think this is a very important tip to follow. And I just have like a small portable steamer that I use, and It really makes things easy. I can do it really quick and I can kind of bring it wherever I need to. So I highly recommend investing in a steamer. Again, they're very cheap, they're not that expensive, and it's something that you can use in your day-to-day life. I know for me, I use it, I travel with it because it fits in my suitcase, and you just never know when you're going to need it, and I think a steamer in general is just so helpful to have. So having it for your business and also for your personal use is just a win-win. So this one kind of ties back to the first tip I have, but it is to stuff your purses. So if you are a purse seller, I know I am, I have a ton of purses that I have for sale, especially like nicer ones, like I have Coach, Dooney & Burke, and some other high-end brands. It's crucial to stuff the purses when you're taking the photos, because if you just have it like laying flat or you just have it on the ground, again, same thing with the first tip, you're not going to get the best angle, you're not going to get the best lighting, the coloring is going to be weird, and it's just not going to represent how the bag actually is. And I think if you want to take this a step further, you can get a little purse display that will hang the purse properly, because a lot of the times the item doesn't look right if it's not like hung up or if it's not styled like properly. So you could put it on the shoulder of a mannequin, which is another purpose that I use my mannequin for. You can hang it on a hanger, or if you have a hook. But there's also like these, purse hanger hooks that you can get that display it and hang it up nicely. And then you could take your photo from there and have the purse stuffed, and it really represents the item better. So this is a great tip, and I also just kind of stuff my purses when I send them out so they don't lose their shape. So if you have any extra like newspaper laying around or just stuffing tissue paper, anything of that sort, I highly recommend doing this. So this next tip may also be very obvious to most of you, but it is to clean your items. This goes a really long way. A lot of the times I will see people listing items that have stains that they could easily get out, or sometimes you'll see like deodorant stains in a piece, or sometimes you'll see shoes that have markings in them, or either handbags or anything like that that have markings in the leather or the canvas, and a lot of the times these stains can come out and you can actually sell the pieces a lot higher. So I highly recommend cleaning your items before you list them. I know with shoes I use a magic eraser, and then with stains in purses or clothing pieces I use either Folex or Amedex, and these things really help clean the items clearly. The Amedex is good for ink stains, and then the Folex just gets out most other stains. And then the white eraser, magic erasers are really good for shoes, especially if they have like a white border. So I just highly recommend doing this. Even cleaning the bottoms of shoes, you'd be surprised how well a magic eraser will clean the bottom of the shoe to make it look almost brand new. Another tip that I've recently started doing that really helps improve your listings a lot is taking your photos in better lighting. So for me, I used to take all my photos at night using my ring light and shining another light on the items. But I've realized very quickly over time that that creates a lot of weird shadows, especially because of the way my lighting is set up. So I've been trying to only focus on taking listings during the day in the bright daylight. And this is really helpful because natural light is better than, a ring light and another light. So this helps get rid of shadows, and it helps determine what the color of the item is a lot more clear than it would be like at night. And I notice a lot of the times when I take pictures at night, the coloring is just very different than what it comes off during the day. And so like I'll go to ship an item out and I'll be like, wait, that's a completely different color than what the photo is giving off. But that's just because it's being taken in not natural light at night in the dark, and you're shining a bright light on it, but then it's getting weird angles and shadows. So I just highly recommend taking your photos in daylight, in natural light if possible. I know that's not always possible depending on where you live or your schedule, or if it's rainy. It was rainy like all this past week for me, so like I couldn't really photograph every day. But I highly recommend doing this if it's possible for you, because I think it'll make your listings a lot better, and it just makes it look like more natural. And the final tip I have for you that I can't stress enough is make sure that you're adding measurements to your listings. This really helps it and makes it really easy for the buyer when they're going through the listings on Poshmark to determine if they should buy from you or not. This goes a long way, like I said, because a lot of the times you'll get a question from a buyer saying like, oh, what is the measurement of this? What's the pit to pit? What's the length? Inseam? I hear it all. And instead of them having to actually ask you, it could be right there in the listing, either in the pictures where you lay out a tape measure on the item, or in the description if you just list them out. But I think it's just helpful to do this in advance, and that way they don't even have to ask you that, and then That way there's no room for the buyer to be not sure. I've actually had several people buy from me where I didn't list out the measurements, and then they were like, oh, this isn't the right size, or like, you know, I didn't know what the sizing was, and then now it doesn't fit me, stuff like that. So this just leaves no room for error, because you know exactly what the measurements are, so they know what they're buying when they buy it. So these are my tips on how to dramatically improve your listings and really make a huge difference and stand out and make your Poshmark closet, or any other closet if you're on Mercari, eBay, Etsy, Depop, you name it, these will work for all of those platforms, but especially Poshmark, because there's so many people on Poshmark, and making sure your listings really stand out makes a huge difference. So if you follow these tips, I'm sure you'll be very successful and you'll have a lot more success. If you are interested in any of the products I talked about, such as a mannequin, the feet mannequin, tape measure, the steamer, anything else, or any reselling products that you could possibly need, they're all going to be linked down below, and I highly recommend doing all these things that will really help you, because a lot of the times we're looking for tips that will help improve our listings to then make more sales, and these are all very simple things that you can do that make a huge difference. So if you are interested in seeing what you should and shouldn't do on Poshmark, including what will get you banned on the platform, click right here. And if you are interested in seeing all of the reselling products that I, highly love and recommend, that I use on a day-to-day basis in all of my, Poshmark endeavors and reselling adventures, click right here. And if you are interested in seeing more content, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you next week.